Hi, welcome to the Bridge Podcast with Dan Comiskey. This week we have an ambitious, young, talented safety professional from Alberta. Her name is Sarah Frank. She specializes in communication in her crew, and she also has been working at a safety career for the last 12 years. She's got some great insight into how to communicate in safety meetings, and she's got some quirky ideas. Please join us, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks very much. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
What a strange thing to do, to just call somebody out of the blue and ask for a podcast interview. I know it's kind of a strange world we live in today, but
I know, hey, it is a little bit weird, but I'm really excited and I'm happy to be here. So thank you.
well, I gotta say, yeah, I was looking online and found you on LinkedIn, and just seeing what you're all about. And you've got about 10 years experience in safety and industry, and you've branched out on your own to do consulting, and as a young person, that's really exciting for me to see you out there doing that. Because new blood in the game, I feel like safety is one of those things that we need. As much as we need the experience of old leaders, we need people that are new and that bring innovative ideas and stuff. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
exciting. Okay, so what got you into safety? Like, how did that happen for you?
Yeah, so I'll take you back maybe 12 years ago. I think I was 20 years old. I was working in accounts receivable, and I think I was so bad at my job. My manager came in one day and he's like, "Here, Sarah, I have this fleet. We had this fleet, and it was only 5 trucks. And what was happening is they had to expand outside of Alberta. So they were like, I need you to figure this out. I need you to kind of solve this problem." And he's like, and, we're kind of in a little bit of trouble. So if you can fix this so we can still continue to operate, that would be great. And what happened, I think it took me about a year, but we got our federal safety fitness certificate. And then we also improved the R factor score. So we improved the overall compliance program. And I ended up keeping my job. So that was cool. And then he knocked on my door again. And he was like, I actually want a core rebate. So can you get us core? So that was kind of how I ended up in safety. And that's kind of how it all started. So a little bit different than a lot of people. I kind of fell into it. But yeah.
Well, I think that's how it happens, though, is a lot of times, especially 12 years ago. I mean, that time core was really becoming, it was really 20 years ago, but up to 12 years ago, core was really becoming essential for everybody, especially
Yeah.
smaller companies. So you're right place, right time to
Yeah.
find something obviously you're passionate about. I mean, when I'm looking online and I'm following you, you got a lot of things happening in this world. Number one, tell me about this presentation you're doing. I think it's in 3 days now, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm actually speaking they just changed their name from CSSE to the Health and Safety Professionals of Canada, I think it is. So I'm still learning the new acronym. I think we're all brainwashed to think CSSE, but yeah, so what I'm speaking on is actually statistically, people are known to have quite boring safety meetings. So I kind of found 3 factors that can really improve a safety meeting and make them a little less boring.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to be speaking on. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm very excited for that opportunity. And I'm excited to get the word out. So maybe we can improve our safety meetings a little bit and, turn it from boring email time to something that you're actually engaged in and enjoying. So.
Exactly. Well, engagement's huge. And you know what? I think that they're changing the name because they have to get the word engineer out of there. I'm not positive.
And I think it's due. Yeah. So they did
although there's nothing wrong with engineers. Any engineers out there, we need you.
Yeah, I think there was some inappropriate terminology there. We'll say we aren't engineers, so
That's right. Oh, well, I'm not. I know that.
no.
I've met a few, and they're way smarter than me.
Um,
In terms of the actual safety meetings, yeah, that's been an issue for forever as well. I mean, I remember my days back at Shell. You were trying to train people to just not go in there with 2 pages of information to throw at guys at 6 o'clock in the morning while they're trying to choke down coffee, getting ready to get in a big truck. Right?
yeah.
They're not listening
Oh
at that
gosh.
point.
Yeah.
So,
So nothing's changed since. So that's still happening. So
so can you give
hopefully
us
we can.
teasers on what your ideas are, or is that something you want to leave? I mean, I'm going to have this edited by Monday.
So I guess I'll give you one, and
Okay.
I'll give you one little teaser. So statistically, meetings are, people with a sheet of paper and they're sitting there, they're reading word for word what's off this sheet of paper. But have you ever heard of the learning pyramid?
Yes,
Yeah.
but explain it.
So
It's
yeah.
just like a
So
rough
basically,
answer.
it kind of goes through different types of instruction methods, and lecture is what we're doing when we have a sheet of paper. And when we host a safety meeting, we're literally lecturing people, and the retention rate is, do you want to guess? Percent. And I'm like,
5%.
what? Yes, which I think is
Yeah.
absolutely, insane. So I've been actually known for my bizarre safety meetings. So in this session, I'm going to give away 5 of my top meetings that I've done kind of throughout my career that I actually can bring into a room and complete safely with the materials I have. But it's introducing, practical application or, different types of things to improve the retention levels of what we're communicating in a meeting.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a little sneak peek of what's going to be happening Monday.
Now, this is a question I have for you. Would you like to link those safety meetings to this podcast when I launch it,
Yeah,
so that people
absolutely.
can
I could
actually
do
get
that. I
a
have
look at what
a
you
little
do?
Google Drive for sure. So
Okay, wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah, if we're able to do that, I think that shouldn't be too tough. We can just get you to send me the links, and I'll attach them in
yeah,
the description on YouTube.
perfect.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, that's exciting. We're already giving value. See that?
yeah.
We're already
I know.
giving
Yeah,
value. That's
the
wonderful.
weird value, but yeah, for sure.
What was that? Sorry.
Oh, some weird value. I guess they're pretty weird safety meetings. So I'll let you take a look and kind of see what you think. But they're fun, but they're a little bit out there. So
Well, I think that's what it takes, though. A lot of times, I mean, obviously, you got to keep it serious, right? But I mean, if you're not, I used to know a guy that would present on this, and his name was Chris McCullough, great guy that worked with us at Shell, and we used to train a lot of this stuff, and he would start his presentation on the safety meeting with Rocky Balboa music in the background, talking about how it's going to be the
yeah,
best safety meeting of all time, because that's what we want to do, right? We want to present something fantastic and just inspirational. But when you're talking about process, and talking about, and these are the stats, and this is,
yes.
can I give you some more stats? And I've got some
Some people
stats
are
for
like,
you.
oh, this is a little boring.
A little more of the human touch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So any stories that you've heard? So your experience, then you've gone from a very, very junior person with not a lot of safety experience. Then you've got your NCSO. You're still, have you finished your degree in safety, or you're working towards it? Is that right?
Yeah, so basically I went to school for safety back in the day when there wasn't a lot of options.
Yep.
So I think there was Nate, I think Ryerson, which is now Toronto University, had the only degree program in Canada. So I actually ended up going to U of A. They opened a certificate program. Back then, they didn't have the diploma program. And then basically I had to jump from university to university because I was like, okay, I'm very curious, where can I go now?
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of universities back then just had certificate programs because there's really only so much you can learn in the field of occupational health and safety. In order to like really get that fully encompassed education, I guess you could say, you need to kind of diversify out. So like, are you, maybe you're going to go into psychology, or maybe you're going to follow the path of ergonomics or whatever that kind of looks like. So back in the day, that's what people were kind of doing. So I went to University of Fredericton and left with an associate's degree. And then also a little bit of education in ergonomics and disability management as well. Got a little bit of education in leadership and how to actually lead in occupational health and safety. And that's where I'm kind of at now. So I'm actually currently entertaining going back to school for a degree in psychology because I think it links so closely to occupational health and safety. But I also need to figure out, where do I have time to do this?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What hour of the day can I, do a little bit of school, run a business, have a family? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the common problem today, right? So now,
Yeah,
University of Fredericton, are you from Alberta, or are you from New Brunswick, or are you where do you hail from? Where's home?
Alberta. So I have a little bit of a Newfie accent from my husband. So he's
Ah,
from Newfoundland. So if you hear a little bit of East Coast coming out, it's definitely him. But yeah, born and raised in Alberta, and I honestly don't think I'll ever leave. I like it here way too much.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of good things happening in Alberta right now,
Yeah.
and I feel like the pendulum of logic seems to be swinging back in the favor of what Albertans believe and work on. And I lived there for a lot of years. And so
Yeah.
I respect and love that province, in a way that I won't go into too much, but definitely, yeah, you've got a lot of good things going on there.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what mistakes have you seen in your years, either as a consultant or and dealing with? So now let's talk. Let's get a little bit more into communication, because that's really what we're talking about. Even when we're talking about safety meetings, and this is really about bridging the gap in communication. So
Mhm.
what good or bad stories do you have where communication has been either the hero or the mud of the situation, the villain?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's a tough question. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions that even I still see today, and I think we are getting a lot better in the field of safety, but is that strong link to legislation. So when you typically hear of, people in occupational health and safety, one of the most common things I hear is, oh, don't do that because it's against the law. And that to some people can be viewed as like almost like a threat, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
especially, senior leaders and that type of stuff. And that might not be the best, we'll call it sales pitch for safety. I think the statistics are, and this is just for Alberta, and this was in 2023, but it's like 0.0001% of our convictions, our actual convictions in Alberta, based on 100,000 businesses that are operating. It shouldn't be about legislation, if that makes sense.
It
That shouldn't
does.
be a tactic that we're using, to get compliance or to communicate safety. I think it's so much more than that. And I think like really what we need to start doing is we need to take a look at, why do I value safety? So I have a client that came to me and I was like, literally like remove like this is just me and you talking. Why is health and safety important to you? And he basically said, that's how we get jobs. We need to, have a safety program. We need to be safe. That's how we get jobs. And if we don't have jobs, these 50 people don't have work. They need to go find another company and I can't protect these people. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I was like, that's why you value safety. That's an amazing reason, although it might not resonate 100% with certain people. But on the flip side, you need to think about who you're selling safety to as well, right? So you need to look at the people. Some people are rule followers. They value legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Other value money. Okay. Or maybe it's media. Maybe it's, oh, I get to be on a podcast. Like, that's why I value safety. So I think we need to change the way that we're talking about safety, and we need to figure out why it's important to us, but then we also need to take a look at the people that we're trying to sell it to and go, okay, why would safety be important to these people? And to some people, as much as we want to think, but going home at the end of every day to your family, that's not clicking with them. So we need to think of an alternate tactic.
Well, I feel like that's been played. Do you know what I mean? And not to say that it's not important, because I still think it is the most important thing, is getting everybody home
Mhm.
safe. And to me, with
Yeah.
my background and all my any keynote I've ever done, it's really about well-being, and it's about leadership, having care, and boots on the ground, and all that kind of stuff, because that is essential, right? But I also think that you're right. I think the message has to be delivered to the audience that you're talking to. And it's
Yeah.
nice to hear somebody say, I value it because it brings more work, because that's real. And there's a bunch of guys in the room and girls in the room that are going to listen to that and go, yeah, well, that means that I have work. Right.
Yeah.
So that's a reason to be safe. And even if you think about it, like how many, and I'll say especially guys, I'm not trying to be a chauvinist or anything, but I think this is pretty real. How many guys, when you start talking about legislation, just have that little inkling, same guys back in the 80s that didn't want to wear a seatbelt just because the cops said they wanted to, right? We
Yeah.
need you to do this. Well, I don't really feel like wearing a seatbelt, right? Like I come
Yeah.
from that line of men. So the legislation is sometimes, it almost gives people reason to, we'll just tough this out and we'll be, risk, we'll take a little bit more risk on here. Maybe I'm crazy. That's just
Exactly. No, I like 100%. You tell me don't do something, I'm going to do it. Yeah. I like 100%. So I think that just, we just need a little bit more training or a little bit more, discussion on how we can better communicate this that's actually hitting home with certain people.
wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I like that answer a lot. Thank you. So in terms of new people in the field, and I like to speak to everybody, men and women, new people coming up into safety. What would you say they should do? Like where would you start if you're just fresh into the workforce? Um, what would you give them for advice?
Yeah. Okay. So I will say this: a career in health and safety is very difficult. You have to really want it to make it work. I always joke we're psychologists, we're police officers, and we're scientists.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll sometimes work our whole career and we won't even see anything happen. We won't even see a shift. And we take on a very heavy, kind of dark workload, if that makes sense. Like a lot of the things we do aren't pleasant, and every day isn't, rainbows and flowers and unicorns. Is quite hard, the stuff that we have to do and the stuff that we have to see. And then the fact that we're like police officers, we work in a thankless job. So no one's ever, going to come to you at the end of the day and say, thank you for saving my life. That just doesn't happen. If anything, they're complaining because we're dumping too much on their plate. So I think in order to want to be in this career, you have to really want it. Now, that being said, there's the flip side of it. I think health and safety and the field of occupational health and safety is so broad that if you ever decide that you're getting bored or you want to further your education or whatever it is, you can change your specialty, you can change your field, you can literally work anywhere in the world in this field, which I think it's very rare. If you're a nurse, this is your kind of box that you fit in. With occupational health and safety, the opportunities are endless. Like there are 1,001 things that you can do in this field, and it's phenomenal. Like that part is so cool.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I've got two things I want to ask you. Number one, can you give me 3 to 5 rules so you're married. Do you have kids?
Yeah. Yeah. I think kids really change your life for the better. So
Right.
that's amazing.
So then your daughter's how old?
She's 3.5.
She's 3.5. So she's the
Yeah.
personality is really shining by now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's like literally a mini me. I feel so sorry for my husband.
I'm sure he feels very blessed.
Yeah.
What 3 rules would you give your daughter that you want her to follow when she moves out of your house?
Tough question. So I think what I'll do is I'll give you the 3 rules that I kind of had growing up. So the first one is work hard and people are going to notice. So my dad always said, keep your head down and just work hard. Like, who cares what you're making? Just do the best that you can in that job. And I think I worked hard for 7 years and I kept looking at all these other people like excelling in their careers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when's my turn going to happen? And I kept my head down. I did the best that I could, and it came true. Like here we are today. I have my own business. I'm doing okay. So I really do believe, like, no matter what, just keep your head down, do the best that you can do every single day, and everything else will follow. Don't wish for anything, just do what you can. The second one I would have to say is always be humble and be kind. So, nothing else matters. Depending on, where you get in your life or what you have or XYZ, just be humble and be kind. I think that's the most important thing. And then lastly, I'll say be yourself. There was a lot of people, like, I have a weird sense of humor. I'm a little bit quirky. And, some people are like, oh, Sarah, don't do that in a meeting. Or, oh, Sarah, like, kind of change this. And you know what? I think I just want to be myself. Like, I want to be quirky. I want to be weird. I want to be the person that laughs or says something silly in a serious meeting. Like, I want that to be me. And if that doesn't work for an organization or a client or whatever it is, it's not a good fit anyway. Why be somebody else? Like, just be yourself no matter what. So I think
Well, I
that
think
took
those are
me,
wonderful rules.
yeah, it took me a long time to figure those out. So
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me a story about when you were yourself and you was quirky.
yeah, okay, I got a good example. So you know how people always have these hard hats and they're like full of stickers, and it's almost like an emotional attachment to these hard hats.
Yes.
So I worked for a mechanical company and everyone was obsessed with their hard hat. And I was like, okay, how can I changed their thought process on these hard hats. So I went into the back and I lugged this. It was like the biggest, heaviest pipe I could find. I lugged this pipe over, and there was like a mezzanine, and I took some all around, and I attached this pipe to the side of the mezzanine, and I asked for, I'm like, give me your hard hat, give it to me, and I put it under this thing of pipe, and I dropped a wrench down the pipe onto the hard hat, and the hard hat literally shattered into
Oh yeah,
smithereens. Like, you could tell it had a lot of sun damage, full of stickers. That thing was around for over 10 years. Shattered. Like, I couldn't have worked out any better. And then I took a brand new hard hat, dropped the same wrench down, controlled experiment, and nothing, like not even a little dent. And I'm like,
amazing.
time to change your hard hats. And everyone was like, oh, yes.
See, I
So
wouldn't find that quirky. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a wonderful way to deliver a message.
Yeah, I
You
did get
know,
in a little bit of trouble. They were like, Sarah, this could have turned out a lot worse. Maybe, consult and let's run some trial runs. But I'm like, nah, I
I
think
don't know
that
how
we
you had
like,
everything controlled. You had a pipe, you dropped it down. Like you were.
yeah,
Listen, I know I wasn't your boss, but I think it was a great idea. So there you go.
yeah. So, yeah, they were like, a little bit too crazy for today. And I'm like, was it?
That's right. That's
So I
right.
was like, I got everyone a new hard hat. So
So listen, let's one more time. Let's just talk about your speech. Tell me when it is, where people can catch you if they're going to be there, and let's we'll end with that. And that way, yeah, we can put this on LinkedIn.
yeah.
Okay.
So you can catch me Monday at the 2024 Professional Development Conference. And then my timeline is 3 to 4:15. So in the afternoon, Monday afternoon.
Well, maybe we can have you back on for a follow up sometime. I'd really
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely. I'd be
Okay.
honored.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time and thanks for your great stories and your great experience. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me today.